This video is brought to you by Fallen Dominion Studios. Check out their website at fallendominionstudios.com.
Hey there folks, welcome back to the Dice Odyssey. I'm Kaz, and right now I'm being hunted by zombies. We had a really bad viral outbreak happen. Okay, look, you've ever seen Resident Evil? It's real. It happened. Okay. And some goofballs decided to make a game out of it and think it was funny. I'm a character in that game, okay? I'm scared for my very life. See, they're all around us. We're all gonna die. But there is some hope, okay? We found a colony that we've all colonized. And we're all trying to trust each other, but man, there's so many people that come from all different kinds of walks of life. So we're all just trying to make sure that we survive by going out and actually getting supplies from different places, different, hollowed out places like abandoned police stations. Where do you think I got this? And then gas stations and so on and so forth. There's even a library where you can find gas, okay? Well, who finds gas in a library? So that's basically what the gist of the game is, and there could be possibly a traitor amongst us. Could even be me. The game is called Dead of Winter. It's by Isaac Vega and Jonathan Gilmour. You may know that name, Jonathan Gilmour, in games like Wasteland Express, Dinosaur Island. Awesome games, right? Well, I want to tell you a little bit what I think about this game.
The retro reviews that we do on this channel specifically are not designed for teaching at all. Okay, so I'm just going to give you a general brief overview, and if you want, you can even skip to my final thoughts section coming up. I'll even put that on the screen for you. Anyway, just to give you an idea, bottom line is you start out at the colony. You're a bunch of survivors in the zombie wasteland. You get a player board that's going to give you a list of turns that you can do, or action that you can do on your turn, some that require an action die, some that do not. You will get a handful of dice at the beginning, okay? And you're going to roll them, and then you're going to use those dice depending on what you need to do according to your player board, and also according to your survivors that you actually receive at the beginning of the game, okay? Because certain things that they do are going to require dice to search, to attack, and different, things like that. First, you're going to choose a scenario to begin with, and that scenario is going to detail what kind of thing you need, what in-game conditions are going to be needed to actually win the game as a group. Every round, it's going to tell you what round to set it at, and also what your morale is going to be set at. At the same time, you're also going to have different kind of crises that come up round after round after round, and everybody has to contribute however much of whatever is on that card. It could be fuel, could be tools, could be food, whatever is needed, and each player may contribute however many donations to the crisis that is needed, as many as they want to, whatever number. But at the end of the round, you got to have at least the lowest count number to win that crisis, to beat it, okay? And every round you're going to have one, so just keep in mind, that's where you're going to shuffle these cards up and figure out if somebody's screwing us over in the game or not. And every round you're going to have an opportunity on your turn to actually take your survivors, okay, and go to different places. For example, you can go to police station, grocery store, school, library, hospital, gas station, and you can go over there and actually search for different items out of the deck that you might need. For example, like food, and I'm going to show you from this little stack here. You can get food, you can get things like junk, fuel, night vision goggles, weapons of all different kinds, tactical rifles, shotguns. You can get helpless outsiders, so on and so forth. So in general, what you're basically trying to do is do some resource gathering in this game to survive all the rounds that you get every round. And as you go round after round after round, zombies are going to accumulate at different places depending on the rules in the game. Now, for example, if you look over here at the police station, if they accumulate past the amount of biohazard symbols on the different locations, that's considered overrun, and people could possibly die, okay? And another thing you're going to do is when you actually take your survivor out of the compound, or if you move them from place to place, you're going to be rolling this exposure die. You could possibly die or turn into a zombie. You get frostbite. You could take a wound, okay? 3 wounds, a survivor's dead. You can also get medical supplies to protect you, to heal you, okay? Another thing that you can do every turn, the person to your right is going to pull a crossroads card, okay? And typically on these crossroads cards, most of the time they're pretty bad, but sometimes you get nice things out of them. They have moral dilemmas, all right? Sometimes they require the group to take a vote on what to do, or that player is going to do something very specific that, you know, they just choose on their own. You can also put things like barricades up, okay, to stop zombies from accumulating in different places. You can actually go in, if you run out of actions to search, you can use sound tokens for rummaging, okay, so you can actually rummage and try to get more out of what you have already been searching through. So anyway, in general, that's basically what you're trying to do in the game. You're trying to survive this crazy situation. At the same time, at the beginning of the game, you're also handed one of these secret objective cards, and you're trying to complete what it says on here, because if you do not, even if your victory conditions are met, you will not win with everyone else, okay? It's like a group win. Or it's also possible you get a betrayal card, and that means you're a filthy traitor and you deserve to be shot and killed in this game. So anyway, that's what you have to do. Meet the win conditions on your card. You know, try to survive. If you're the traitor, you want this morale tracker to go down below 0, because that means you've won the game and everybody else has lost. But if everybody can keep their morale up for all the rounds that are in the game, y'all are winners. And that's how you play Dead of Winter in a nutshell. Again, this is not for teaching. This is just to give you an idea of how to play. Now let's get back to my final thoughts.
So, Dead of Winter. What do I think of this game? This game, when I got into it, man, it's been, I think it was 2014 it released by Plaid Hat Games, right? 2014 it released, and when I first got into this game, I was, you know, everybody was like, you know, have you played Dead of Winter? Anybody play? You haven't played Dead of Winter? What's wrong with you? That's what you would hear, you know? And it became this massive, massive success, right? Massive success. And it's gone on to spawn different, several different expansions, which, by the way, funny enough, I have not actually played yet. But yeah, this game has been a massive success. It introduced that new card system called the Crossroads system, and as a matter of fact, they even had an app which I downloaded on a phone. I tried it out, thought it would be kind of cool, and it's actually pretty cool. It's actually really cool, and it introduced such a thing that where you felt like everybody at the table could be a traitor. Now there are some other games that kind of did this before. Battlestar Galactica, to a certain extent, had this had those situations, and there was people are going to be Cylons at some point. You don't know who's going to be. You had Shadows over Camelot that did a very similar thing in the sense of there may or may not be a traitor in the game. But in this game, it takes place during a zombie apocalypse, and there's just a gajillion bits everywhere, right? There's just pieces all over the place, from cans of food to, you know, zombie tokens to, you know, all sorts of different things. There's cards upon cards upon cards galore of, you know, the different places you're going to go out and search in. You're going to be searching in gas stations and libraries and hospitals, and, you know, you're looking for medical supplies, weapons, food. You'll find survivors sometimes. Some of them are worthless to you, but they add more mouths to feed, which then every round you have to make sure your food production is up, or, you know, people start losing morale, and that's the key of the game, is that morale tracker. Man, I used to hate that thing because it was so hard to keep morale up sometimes depending on the scenario you played. And that was another thing. So many different kinds of scenarios in this game that this game, you really weren't going to get bored with it too easily, you know, because you had so many different stories to tell. And that Crossroads system was awesome because in this game, you're engaged the entire time. That's the key of it, right? You are engaged with everybody at the table the entire time, because not only do you have the Crossroads system, which every person gets a chance to play in that game, but you don't know if there's a traitor in the game, right? Now, I personally like to play there's always a traitor in the game of some sort, but once in a while we play with it without it, and it's still cool because there's tension there. You don't know if there's a traitor, and then you're looking, you're like, okay, why did he do that? Why did he put barricades in this spot when we needed them over here, right? Why did he do this, and the other? And that's when those secret objectives for everybody comes into play. That was really, really cool to me because that kept the tension high in the game. Really, you're going to, some people I know kind of stressed in this game. They're like, oh, I don't know who it is. And I'll tell you, loved it, loved it, loved it. I would have ranked it, I probably would have ranked it about a 9.5 when I first played it. When I first played it several times, the first year or so we started playing it, we would pull this game out every couple of weeks and just go into it, right? And it was fun when you had new people in there. Of course, you had to teach them. It is not an easy game to teach, and what I mean is, you would think it is because it seems pretty straightforward in certain ways, but it's just you have to get people to grasp certain concepts, and it just takes several rounds. But once that first game's done, people are, probably about 3 or 4 rounds in, people are going, okay, I got this thing, for the most part, right? There could be some analysis paralysis for people going, where should I go? What should I do? And also having to cooperate with each other. But the one thing I will say, after a couple of years of playing this game, the one thing I will say is I did have a couple of, not bomb nights, but a couple of nights where not everybody was into it. And I'll tell you one of the biggest reasons it was because of those secret objective cards. Now, I personally like them a lot. I think they work. I think that it adds tension to the game, like I said, and it's palpable tension. But I think that the problem is that everybody feels like everyone's a traitor in the game. There's nobody that you can truly just watch and say, well, definitely not this guy. You know what I mean? Now, you can, but I'm saying there are some people that feel this way. And they did not like the idea of on your secret objective card, sometimes you doing things that doesn't benefit the colony, yet you're not a traitor. And so we've actually exiled people before that were not traitors, but they absolutely didn't have they were absolutely acting like they might have been a traitor. There was actually one guy, and he's gonna kill me for saying this. There was one guy, and it was hilarious because he was playing this. This was a very recent game. This has been in the last 6 months, I think. We're several rounds into the game, right? And he's learning the game. It's his first time, so I give him a little bit of forgiveness on this, but it was just so funny I have to mention it. He actually, at some point, I'm paraphrasing here, asks us, and keep in mind, we're like several rounds in, right? And the tension is high, and we think nobody is a traitor. We think everybody's on point with everybody else, right? And all of a sudden, he asks the question, so by the way, if I wanted to kill somebody, how do I go about doing that?
Oops. Oh, no.
Okay. The game stops, we vote, exile. Found out he's not a traitor. He just had an honest question, and I forgot that he was in a learning game. It was his first time, but at the same time, that was a horrible question to ask, especially when you have a bunch of veterans sitting there going, okay, that was either the dumbest question ever, or he's a traitor, and he's just not thinking clearly about it. So we've had those hilarious moments in this game that are amazing. But like I said, it's an amazingly good game. I really like it. You have to have the right group of people to enjoy this game. That's a fact. I mean, you have to have it. You could have one person tank the enjoyment of the game simply because they don't like that secret objective system. But other than that, from the crossroad cards adding a ton of narrative to the game, which is one of my favorite things because you have moral dilemmas, moral decisions you have to make. I love resource gathering in a game like this because I don't know what am I about to catch? What am I about to get? Ooh, a shiny new shotgun. Not shiny in this world, but ooh, a new pistol. Ooh, whatever. I love that. That's one of my favorite things because when I was a kid, I played a ton of Resident Evil, okay? And I know a lot of y'all probably have too. Resident Evil 1, 2, 3, I think I played Nemesis, and then Resident Evil 4, Leon Kennedy, and just Resident Evil. I was a huge Resident Evil fan. That is what made me turn this game into my #1 game of all time at that time. This game, for several years, well, maybe not several, but yeah, it's probably about two to 3 years, was my #1 game because the immersiveness of it, the narrative structure of it, there's so many different narrative stories being told off those crossroads cards, to the fact that I could be a dog. I think it's Sparky the Wonder Dog, and I can go in and save people if I want to. Being able to weapon up if I want to be able to. there could be a traitor in the group and you have to suss them out, or if you are the traitor, I mean, it's great being a villain. Let's just be honest, because the villain can do anything they want, but they have to hide in plain sight, right? That's why this game was my number one for many years until it got supplanted. Well, by another game that you probably already know is my favorite, because I talk about it all the time on this channel. So, but anyway, what would I rank? What do I feel about Dead of Winter these days? Where do I stand on it now? Still an amazing game, still awesome. There's been other games that have come out with social deduction to them and traders and things like that, that for me, so far have not quite captured what Dead of Winter does for me. I still love this game. I still find the immersion amazing. I will still pull it out if people want to play it. It is still one of my go-to games, and I would still rank it on my top 50 games of all time, right? But yeah, I still think of it highly. I would probably put it now more so, like I said, it was a 9.5. I'd probably put it at about a 9, roughly. It hasn't dropped much. It's just that it is a little bit harder for me to get to the table now. It can tend to be a long game. Now, you do have a short, medium, and long game that you can do scenario-based wise. So that helps. Don't get me wrong. That helps. It's nice to have. But especially if you're teaching a bunch of newbies, expect to have this thing out for at least 3 hours that night. I mean, just to teach. You know what I mean? Remember what I said about having to have the right people play this game? If they don't like being accused and they don't like those kind of stressful situations of every eye on them and fingers pointing and people yelling at each other, because I've lost my voice in this game before, and that's not something I normally do, then this may not be the game for them. But for the people that do love that raucous good time of trying to live in that immersive world and you actually feel like you're there, you don't mind that stupid exposure die. I say stupid because it has killed me more often than not, or hurt me more often than not. I rarely get a good roll on it, but it's that one where you're just like, don't do it. It makes me want to spin the gas so I can drive somewhere instead and not have to roll it. But anyway, if you don't mind all that, this is an amazing game. Still holds up wonderfully, even, what is it now, 4 years later, I think. Wow, time has flown. But anyway, great game. I find it to be an amazing part of my collection. And if somebody asks, 9 times out of 10, I'll pull it out. So anyway, that's Dead of Winter. Thank you so much for watching the Dice Odyssey Retro review. It's a little bit different than my normal, I know, but again, most people know how to play these, and I just wanted to give an idea of what I think of them and kind of where I sit on them now from where I played them before to now. And by the way, have you played Dead of Winter? Let me know down in the comments, because I am kind of curious what everybody's experiences are with this game. Thank you again. You have a blessed day, and game away.